All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Player B podcast. My name is Marcus Mercer, as always, joined by Rob Levins. Rob, how we doing?
Doing very well, sir. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Can't complain. It's freezing out, but it is December, and I don't know. We played a little golf last weekend, so that can't complain about that.
But no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is cold here in Ohio. I got the brown water to warm me up.
There you go.
So
who was it? Somebody, I forget who it was. I'm sure they'll message me or remind me, but they messaged me about they were disappointed. Oh, it was the week you weren't on the podcast. You were out. They said they messaged me jokingly saying they were disappointed because every time you're on, it was something about like learn a new fact about like 2 Trulies can fit in a mason jar or whatever it was. I forget what it was, but they made a joke about how they learn a new alcohol fact or something. So I'm sure
this is good. A couple fingers of bourbon here in the Rheingeist Dad glass. So
there you go, Rheingeist.
Hopefully
Ohio brewery. There you go. So
absolutely mixing the beer in the Woodford. So all good.
Nice. Well, it's been a couple weeks since we recorded. It's been a busy couple weeks with again work and travel and all kinds of stuff. So it's good to get back on here and rehash a few things. But I guess we can start. We both jumped on and went and hit balls at the simulator, and I know you were working on a few things. So interested to hear your perspective on how that went and what you maybe were working on and what the swing is looking like.
We got to go up to Worthington Hills Country Club again. Shout out to them up there and Ben Bostel there, the teaching pro. Just reached out to him and said, hey, you got any availability on the TrackMan? They got, like we've said countless times, they have 2 units out there. He's like, yeah, you and Marcus come on down and hit. I got to work on the swing. Kind of what we've been working on is just using the lower body a little bit more in the swing, trying to get a little bit more rotation and kind of make a more of an athletic move instead of just a slap motion with the arms. I think I don't know how it looked, but it's feeling a little bit more natural. We're kind of seeing the results with carry yardages. Clubs are going a little bit further now that I'm using the other half of my body instead of just slapping it with my arms. It's coming along. I mean, this is the time that you work on that kind of stuff, the stuff that you're not necessarily looking for, throwing darts. You're trying to, get that muscle memory in. And if you're going to do a new movement, now's the time to do it. So, like we said, we had 2 bays, both were open. So you got to hit balls on one bay and I got to hit balls and kind of get a little pseudo lesson quickly from Ben. He looked at some stuff and you got to hear us just completely geek out over TrackMan numbers and fire landing angles and launch and ball speeds and all that fun stuff. So,
well, it was hilarious for what, like you said, I was hitting on the other bay and just swinging, trying to hit the ball somewhat straight and not really knowing what I'm doing. And you were over there. It was hilarious. You even made the comment. You're like, you're sweating my ass off over here because
this is so much
you
work.
were going hard for, I think, the first 45 minutes or so. I think you were trying to set a record on how many swings you could get in that amount of time. So
if I was out at the range, I was those people that just like rake and hit. I was just ripping balls. And at one point, obviously, TrackMan keeps track of how many golf balls you've hit. And I was like, Marcus, I've hit like 50 golf balls. And we were within the first 30 minutes there, it felt like. I'm like, this is not normally my practice session. I'm much more methodical or just stop hitting that many balls. But
it's hilarious because I'm always the opposite. I go to the range and it takes me forever, it seems like, to get through a bucket of balls because I take 2 or 3 swings, I walk back, I check my phone, I look at what other people are doing. It takes me forever. So, but it's so easy on the TrackMan because the balls are right there and you don't have to go anywhere and you don't have to go walk and find it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's But you made the comment. You and Ben were kind of geeking out over numbers and stuff. it's been a while since I hit on a TrackMan, but it I realized I know all the information that it gives you, but it's like kind of not, I don't want to say shocking to see it, but it really
Mhm.
it's an eye opener when you see all these numbers and you're like, I have no idea what any of that means. The spin
Yeah.
rate and the launch. I
Yeah.
mean, I understand launch angle, but at one point you guys were talking about landing angles, I think, of different irons. And I'm like, I mean, I see what that number says on the screen there, but
Right.
I
I
couldn't
just
tell,
don't get
is
it.
that good, bad? I have no
Right.
idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that just
it's,
kind of comes in with just, fitting people on it, giving lessons people on it,
yeah.
like with people on it, and you kind of know what's ideal, quote unquote. And so that's why there was a couple irons that I was working on. I think I was hitting 8 iron, and I was just making sure that, hey Ben, what we're working on is that landing angle basically is the angle in which the ball's coming down and landing on the green. Is that coming in too shallow, meaning it's going to hit and roll off the back edge, or is it coming in too steep where I'm kind of losing yardage as this ball is like a balloon ball? So ironically, as we talk about your ball flight, I would love to see what your landing angle is sometimes. Next time we go out there, may have to look at that number and focus on it and see what that moon ball is coming in at.
that moon ball. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, it's, shout out Ben. Cause Ben said he listened. So I hopefully we're going to get you on here soon here, Ben, but
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I could see how you could get on a TrackMan and kind of get overwhelmed, maybe would be the right way to say it, with all the information that you're seeing, and you're trying to, if you're trying to work on one thing and you have all these numbers and all this information, it's like, holy cow, where do I even start? So
Yeah.
I could
and
see how
what
that could easily happen.
Like what Ben said, you just hide those variables, because you can, as the instructor and even the person on it, like if I go by myself, I know to usually pull up like 5 or 6 things and they actually show you. I think Ben showed us there's like 30 different variables they can give us. And so, yeah, that can get, I don't need to know my swing plane and my, whatever smash factor on an 8 iron, like that kind of stuff I don't need. So yeah, I usually just look at a few things and then just go from there. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to hit 5 golf shots in an hour and you're going to try to just read all the numbers.
Yeah. And you mentioned it. One of the things I've been talking about, I need to work on is my ball flight and trying to hit it lower and control it and things like that. And he actually, threw out a good tip or drill, I guess, to work on. And when he has students or people that he's working with on similar type things, he'll throw out the idea of, okay, let's hit a 160-yard shot, but we're going to do it with a 6 iron, a 7 iron, and an 8 iron, just to try and vary those ball flights and different things. And I had never, that's why I'm not a golf teacher. I never thought of that. So that's a great idea. But it was cool to kind of hear you guys talking about different stuff and different numbers and different movements and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, it's a work in progress. We'll see. I mean, we'll kind of keep going at it, but the movement feels good. The results are good. I mean, hitting irons are probably a full iron difference. I mean, so 150, like 155, 160 was a 7 iron. Now I'm kind of getting an 8 iron out there that distance. So as long as the dispersion's there and I'm not having, some wild left or wild right miss, which the dispersion was pretty tight. So as long as I'm not sacrificing any of that, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what comes in 2022. Just keep working at it. So
yeah, it's what did Roy McAvoy say? Perfection is unattainable. So
exactly. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It's always a work in progress. So no, it was fun. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, and I was going to say, yeah, it was good to kind of practice a little bit. And then we were able to practice, and we got, as we love to do, we got an emergency 9 in. So that was nice. We got to go play Scioto Country Club. For those of you familiar with the course, Jack's old stomping grounds. I should preface it that we did play it on the simulator, so we did not actually go.
I was going to keep it going, but yeah. We left the simulator in the middle of December and drove down 315 and hit Scioto real quick.
Yep, exactly.
That simulator, the goal was to get. It's about as close to the first tee as I've ever been, and it probably ever will be at Scioto. So
yeah. So we got to play nine. We got to play the front nine at Scioto, and I might have done us a disservice by making the greens firm and rolling about a 12 on the stem. We had wedges bouncing like we hit cart path, but it was fun nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. No, it the simulator is it's been a while since I had played, quote unquote, played around on the simulator, and it shows you your ball flight and things like that, but it definitely has a very different feel than actually being out on the course, because you're
Yes.
seeing it on the screen and where you need to line up and your alignment and things like that, but it doesn't feel like I'm lining up the way I should be sometimes, and but
we talked about it too, like a couple of the holes early on. Obviously we aren't professionals, so there was holes that we had to punch out to, and we had some funky numbers going into greens, and it was like, okay, Marcus, you're up 40 yards, or Rob, you're up 55 yards. And we're like, I don't know what that feels like. We're kind of more of like visual. Okay, I know that's how far it goes. It's like, I don't think I can just sit and hit into a net and know that this swing's going to generate 55 yards or 40 yards. So I know that we both kind of weren't really throwing any darts from inside 100 yards, because we were trying to figure out, like, I don't know how far 30 yards is when I hit it into a screen that's 10 feet in front of me. So that's a pretty challenging aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and then you end up in a bunker, and it's like, well, how do you hit a bunker shot off of a mat that to make it end up where you want it to? So, but no, I mean, it's fun. It's definitely a good way to keep swinging, and sometimes it's better than just banging balls into a screen or a net or something like that. So, but yeah, we can't wait to get back out there. Like I said, Ben, we're going to get you on here at some point. Pick your brain at just the little nuggets that I was hearing the other day. It's like, man, I know nothing about the golf swing.
Well, I tried to give you one golf tip when you went to the range. I can't remember if we talked about it on the previous podcast, but I don't think we did.
No,
about your hands and where they need to be at the follow through. And I reminded you of that the other day, and you're like, yeah, I couldn't get the ball airborne when I was trying that out the other day. I'm like, well,
yeah,
at least your ball flight was low. That's what
tried one of those over the weekend, and I don't think it got off the ground. So a little bit of work to do, but yeah, I sent you a video. I was out at Westerville Golf Center, and they have heated ranges and things like that. I think I mentioned that on here, but anyway, good place to go over the winter and hit some balls outside. Yeah. But I was trying to work on, I think I was hitting a 6-iron, I took a full swing at just a normal smooth 6-iron. And then I was trying to flight it a little bit, keep it low. And it was lower. It wasn't low.
Yes.
It was lower. Yes. But you threw out the idea of, having your hands finish where you want the ball, the lower your hands finish, the lower the ball flight. It's going to be that kind of thing.
Match your trajectory with your hands. Like if you want, as you're coming through, hold that follow through and like keep your hands low to get a low ball flight. And then if you want to hit a moon ball, finish with your hands high above your head kind of thing.
And when you said that, I think you sent me the light bulb emoji, but it was like a light bulb going on. It's like, I think I've kind of tried that at times, not really thinking through the process of it or thinking through like why I'm doing that. I think, I don't think I definitely don't do it consistently, but when you said that, I was like, well, shit, that makes sense. It's like, man, That's why these people get paid to teach the golf swing.
I know. Everybody, all golfers are always searching for something, some little cue. I mean, something that just clicks and that light bulb goes off, and then you think you have it figured out for like a week, and then you're on to something else. And then you start overdoing something, and then you have to go back to the range and figure something out. That's why we love the game.
The guys I got paired up with, and we'll get into it this weekend, but the guys I got paired up with this weekend, we were talking about that, and the guy was like, I've never loved to hate anything more than I love the game of golf. He's like, it is the most frustrating freaking thing in the world, but yet I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so frustrating, but it's kind of a nice segue between that and the whole reason. One of the reasons, obviously, we went out to Worthington to practice was to hopefully, we thought of all the courses they have on the simulator, we were hoping you were going to get a little practice round for your trip out west to Torrey, but they didn't have the course.
Yeah.
But at least you got to shake the rust off and kind of keep the game sharp. So let's kind of hear about your trip out to the West Coast.
Man, so so my wife and I were in San Diego over the weekend, kind of a long weekend deal. And my I think I've said on here, my wife is a saint. She's the absolute best. And my birthday present this past year, once we figured out when we were going to San Diego and everything, she booked me a tee time at Torrey Pines. So she kind of heard me talking all summer long about how the U.S. Open was at Torrey Pines. I was watching the Farmers Insurance Open and all that kind of stuff. I was like, man, look at that course, blah, blah. I was like, how cool is that it's a public course and you can play it? And then she booked me a tee time. So she's the absolute best. And it's I guess we can kind of get into it because I was going to cover kind of cost and everything right there. But it is a course. I mean, it's owned by the city. So it is very much a muni course. It's got to be the most unbelievable muni course in the world, but it's, it's a half an hour, 25 minutes, depending on traffic, north of San Diego and La Jolla. So you're literally, everybody knows, you're right on the coast, but you drive up there and it's not a bad drive from downtown. And like I said, it is very much a municipal course. You think that it's hosted multiple US Opens and a tour event every year. You think it's going to be this big grand place. And not that it's not nice or anything like that, but you walk in and it just has muni course vibes. Like the clubhouse is a pretty big clubhouse, but it's not grand. It's not, you don't pull up and there's not valet and there's not a, big cart bag drop and all that kind of stuff. You walk up, you see the putting green and all that kind of stuff. And you walk up to the clubhouse and there's a window, there's an outside window you pay your greens fees at. And then they tell you if you want to rent a cart or get range balls or any of that, you go inside to the pro shop, pay for range balls. They give you a ticket. You walk outside, you punch your number into the machine like you do at any other municipal course. And you get your range balls through a machine in a bucket. And you go out to the range and there's probably 20 mats, maybe. It's not a huge range at all. So when I got there, our tee time was at 9:30 and the range was already full. So you had to stand there and wait for a range spot. Which again, there's nothing wrong with any of this, but you just have kind of this
you have an expectation that you've
in your
seen
mind that shit, it's Torrey Pines. They've hosted 2 US Opens and tour events every single year. It's got to be this unbelievable place, and it is very nice, but it's, again, you're hitting off mats on the range, you're waiting for range spots to open and things like that. So
that's hilarious.
It's crazy in that sense, because again, it's very much a municipal course owned by the city. You walk in and there, again, you pay your greens fees at the window outside. They tell you to go inside, and very nice pro shop. Like, decked out, huge, tons of gear, all that kind of stuff, which I'll cover a little bit later on. So I went and got my range balls, waited for a spot. I was thinking, I was like, I got these range balls. I don't know if I'm going to even have time to hit them at this point, because I was standing there waiting. And, of course, nobody's in much of a hurry, to get going. But, so I hit balls, walked up, hit a few putts, hit 4 or 5 putts, came back. My wife had a John Daly waiting for me at 9:30 in the morning. So it's a decent
Fantastic.
start. And, so Kels, my wife, hopped in the cart and rode along with me for 18 holes out there. But
that's awesome. That is
so
awesome.
you get up to the clubhouse, and there is kind of a balcony. You walk out of the pro shop, and the pro shop's on the second level, and you walk out, there's a balcony overlooking the first tees of both the north and the south course. So you look out, and obviously the ocean and everything is behind that. So you kind of have this, what would have been an unbelievable view, but it was super foggy the morning I played. So so then you go down, and again, Muni course, the cart barn is on the lower floor. So you go down, and it's literally like any other, public course you've been to. They have a couple carts lined up out there and just a stack of scorecards. You grab your scorecard and a pencil, and you head out, and the first tee's right there. So it's, you think of the country clubs you play at, and I don't play a ton of PGA Tour courses. I played one in my life earlier this year.
Yeah.
But they have outside staff and people taking care of you. And just thinking of a comparison to Harbor Town, it's like all the balls in the range were Pro Vs, and they had the nice stack of pyramid balls and all that stuff. It's like you're not punching a number in a machine hitting top flight, range balls and stuff like that. So it's such a crazy it's such a crazy level. The golf course is on such a level, and then you have this expectation in your head, which I knew it was a public course, and I knew all those things, but we kept saying when we were playing. So I got paired up with another single who walked, and another twosome, two brothers, and the single that was walking actually got lucky. When I booked my tee time, there was one single tee time left for the day on the sheet, and I booked it. And the two guys that I got paired with had a third, but he had to back out. So the single that we got paired with called about a week before we got there, and he's like, "Hey, I know, there's not much of a shot, but I'm going to be in town. I figured I would call and see if there were any openings." And he goes, the guy in the pro shop goes, "You must be the luckiest guy in the world, because we just had somebody cancel, earlier today," or whatever it was. So
I'll take it.
So he jumped on it, and we played as a foursome. And we kept talking. The biggest thing I couldn't wrap my mind around this, that it is, I've said this 4 times already, it is a US Open course that San Diego, if you're a resident of San Diego, they have this thing called the resident card out there. There's, I think they own 4 courses, the city out there. You can play Torrey Pines South course on a weekend for $68 if you're a resident. And I was telling my dad this earlier today. I'm like, we can't even play, Virtues or the Quarry up in Canton, or you can't pay to play those courses for less than that. It's like, how would you not be out there all the time?
Every single day. Yeah. That's insane.
So if you're a resident and you have that card, $68 on the weekend. I think it was like 61 or 62 on weekdays or something like that. Just insane. Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not to mention the North course is even cheaper by a few dollars. I didn't play the North course. I would imagine it's probably just as nice. There's, it's on the same property, so you have some of the ocean views and things like that. But again, just didn't have time to go out and play it. But the course blew my mind. It's crazy. And I guess going back to price, I skipped over that part. So if you're not a resident, as we're not a resident, it is a very expensive round of golf. It was definitely a couple $100, and then throw on cart fees and range balls and stuff on top of that. So the range balls are not included. Carts are not included. You could pay to rent a push cart or a driving cart, a regular cart. Which
you didn't bring the push cart with you from Ohio?
That would have been tough. I was already lugging around, a golf bag and all that stuff. But that's a course that, it would be an awesome walk, on a nice day, just a beautiful walk. So we hopped in the cart, and immediately first hole, I figured out exactly why everybody talks about the rough out there. I pulled a drive into the right rough, couldn't find it, had no idea where it was. It's not even probably half of what they have it at for, the Open or whatever. I should preface it by saying the Farmers Insurance Open is next month, and they were already getting ready for that. So they were literally, as we were playing, they were building the infrastructure, the stands and all that. There were guys out on the course building all that. So they did say that they were starting to get the course ready, growing up the rough and things like that. So
you're like, thanks.
yeah, exactly. I'm getting the full experience out here, aren't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, first hole, it's like couldn't find my ball, and it was cart path only. So they were obviously trying to keep the course in as good a condition as they could. But I mean, I think I sent you a picture of, I don't even remember what hole it was, but I was probably 4 feet off the green. Maybe I was barely in the rough. And I mean, you could barely see the top of my ball, I think. And I was literally almost in the first cut, it's like, holy cow. But the grass out there, I'm not I don't know an agronomist or whatever, the turf guy, but the grass out there is like this thick. I don't know if it's the kikuya or whatever they talk about, whatever it is, but it's I should have looked it up.
It is out there,
but it's this super thick grass that, like, if you get lucky, the ball be sitting up for you, but if you're buried, like, you're hacking, it's like cabbage, you're hacking out.
It's going out.
You're going out sideways to get back into the fairway and get back in play. So we kind of made some jokes about that all day long, because we were helping each other try and find balls in the rough and stuff like that. So
Torrey Pines notably has wiry kikuya and is much more ferocious in the summer when it isn't tamed by the winter rye overseed.
Oh, so I got it tamed.
So you got it
I got the tame version.
So you got the tame version.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Boy, it didn't seem like it.
Normally, the rye overseed Torrey traditionally has. That means players have to do much more detective work when playing out of the deeper grass and also get lucky. So you had it apparently, based on Golf Digest, you had it easier than if you would have played it in the summer months. So
that's good to know.
That bruises the ego a little bit.
I was gonna say it doesn't make me feel any better, actually. So I mean, the rough was kind of a common theme throughout the day of just trying to help each other find balls. And I think I texted you this. I swear I read on the website beforehand, before going out there, and I couldn't find it today. I swear I read that there's like a local rule that they ask everybody to search for their ball for a minute, maybe 2 minutes max, and then just take a free drop, because pace of play out there is a thing, and looking for balls.
That's what that was one of the questions I had written down to ask you with that, when I knew you'd obviously told me about the trip and how the rough was, and you told me about that local rule, or at least, being told that. I was like, I wonder how the pace of play was out there, because if it's kind of that one of those types of courses where people are like, that's a bucket list course, you're going to have people that are, I'm getting my money's worth. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to read putts from every angle, or I'm going to take pictures on tee boxes and greens.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the expected pace of play was, or what your experience was out there that day.
So, and I had heard this from somebody else that I'd known that had played out there, but it was a slow round. It was a, I keep hearkening back to this, to like playing a muni course in Columbus, but it was a 5-hour round of golf. And I think a lot of that is because they do get a ton of play out there. And to your point, a lot of times, I think everybody in my group, it was their first and only time playing out there. So everybody was like, holy cow, like so pumped to play and see the course and all this kind of stuff. So we were taking some pictures, and I don't think we were playing slow. We weren't holding the group up and behind us, but we were definitely waiting on the group in front of us at times and things like that. But yeah, I mean, to your point, you mentioned it, there's holes. You're like, at one point we were waiting for the group in front of us, and we just stopped on one of the tee boxes, and we're like, holy shit, like, the canyon right there with the Pacific Ocean. And we're just like staring, taking pictures and things like that. So, so there is a lot of that. But like I said, it was a 5-hour round. I should say the rough definitely played into that, searching for balls and, trying to find your ball and things like that. But it was also cart path only. So that obviously adds
Yeah,
time.
that's going to lead and add time to it. Yeah.
That always adds time. So yeah, it wasn't the fastest round of golf, but in my view, I'm like, I could care less because this may be the only time I
Right.
ever get here. So
Yeah.
I'm not,
It's one thing when you're playing a 5 and 6 hour round and no knock, but like at like Golf Club of Dublin or you know what I mean,
right.
like something like that. But you're at Torrey, it's like take a deep breath and turn around and look at where you're at, and then
So
relax.
as I was thinking about it, as I was thinking about this today when I was making some notes and trying to figure out what I was going to say and talk about, but I think that would be maybe the only thing that would deter me if I lived in San Diego and had the opportunity to play
Right.
that course all the time. It probably could get annoying to go out there and have to
I can
play a
see
5 hour
that.
round every time, and you got all these people trying to take pictures and blah blah blah. And
Mm-hmm.
you've been out there for 100 times, and you're like,
Yeah,
I love the
what's the
course,
big
but
deal?
holy cow,
Right.
it's like, come on. So,
Yeah.
so the other thing I guess that would tie into that is we played I guess the furthest back tees that were available. The tournament tees were not set up on the day we were out there, but we
Yeah.
played the brown tees, which on the card is listed at 7,015 yards. So you mix in the rough and 7,000 yard course, and it could make for a long day. So,
Yeah.
but I think Ryan or somebody, I think it was Ryan, messaged me on Instagram and said, you better be playing the tips or whatever. And I said, well, we're playing as far back as they'll let us. But I messaged him and I was like, I don't think it didn't feel like it was at 7,000 yards, just thinking about some of the shots. But then the more I thought about it, I think 3 of the 4 par threes were like 195 yards and longer. I think there was one par 3 that was like 150 ish. I think everything else was like 200 yards plus almost. So the par 3s were pretty brutal.
Those are beasts.
And there's a couple of long par 5s. Looking at the scorecard, I think the longest hole listed on the card, let's see, 9 is 535 yards and 18 is 522 yards.
Yeah.
I guess 6 is 530 yards, but there's some beasts out there, but there's some long par 4s too. Like 12 is a par 4 that's 458 yards. So, and I guess looking at it now, 4 is 462 yards and it's par 4. So there's some beasts out there. It's just,
that's a lot of driver long irons for this guy.
Yeah. But again, and I don't know if I wasn't paying attention to it just because I was trying to take the course in and just enjoy it. I wasn't overly concerned about what I was shooting for the day, just because I mean, I was keeping nobody else was keeping. I think they were keeping their own score, but we weren't keeping each other's score, and we weren't playing a match or anything like that. So it was just like, I don't want to call it a hit and giggle, but it kind of was. But I mean, it was, you throw in all those factors and it can make for a long day on the course. Now I will say, on the back nine, my wife who rode with me, again, she's a saint. It was an overcast day, and I don't know, the highs in the 50s, low 50s.
Okay.
I think it was supposed to get warmer than that, but we were, you're right on the coast and the wind was blowing, and she was just riding in the cart the whole time. She was freezing by the end of the day.
I bet. Yeah. I was going to say, you're at least getting out swinging.
Yeah. I was getting out swinging. I was having to walk back and forth, across the fairways to find golf balls and all that stuff. So I was fine, but she was freezing. And I 5 hour round, she probably could have done with a 4 hour round of golf, but
she's probably like, let's go, boys. Let's play ready golf. That's good. Pick it up.
She, like I said, she's the best, and she hung in there, and she wanted me to enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. So
she got to read. I mean, that's 5 hours of reading for her. So
she
probably knocked out a book.
She was definitely reading. She may have finished it. I don't know. She but she also spent a bunch of time. She was taking pictures and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
too. So it was fun. But yeah, and again, that's something. I was talking to somebody and they're like, do they, did they charge, for her to ride along with you and things like that? I did the
Oh
same
yeah,
thing.
I didn't even think
Did the
about
same
that.
thing at Harbor Town, and neither one had charged. Harbor Town, I called ahead to make sure it was okay. I didn't even worry about it at Torrey, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so if that's ever an option or people have that question, can somebody that's not playing your spouse or significant other ride along? I've not ever run into an issue with that on some of these courses, but
I tell you what, Marcus, I think what we should probably do is go play Pebble, and then I will just quote unquote ride along and read, and then just hit a few shots and see if we can just wave one of those greens fees.
You have been making some comments about how you wanted to start playing left-handed, so
I do really badly. But no, yeah, not. I wouldn't want to play Pebble lefty. I wouldn't want to go to one of those bucket list courses and then try my luck at that. So
yeah, so we'll dig into the whole lefty thing at some point here. We'll have to. We got to get into that.
Be another
talk about how
another
that's
episode.
That's go, so, but yeah. So one of the other things that I noticed on that course is, for the most part, it's pretty wide open. There's you see some pictures and there's some trees and things like that. The biggest way you can get in trouble on that course is, for one, not be in the fairway, because you're going to be buried and chances are you're not going to get it to the green, on your approach shot.
Right.
And the fairway bunkers, there's a ton of fairway bunkers strategically placed right where everybody hits their drives. So
right about where your ball's going to land.
So there's that. There's, those two things are probably, unless on 4 or looking at the card, 13, unless you literally hit it off a cliff, which can be done there.
Which can be done, yeah.
Unless you hit it off a cliff, there's not a whole lot of danger. You're not going to get in jail if you're offline on the tee. You're just going to be hitting out of a cabbage patch. So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting. I hadn't really, that's not something you pick up on TV or whatever. So
yeah.
But there's kind of if I picked up, as I do at most all courses I play, I picked up a yardage book. Funny thing is, I bought this before the round and I didn't even look at it once during the round, because they had GPS on the carts. So I kind of used the GPS to get an idea of what the yardage was. Then I would take 3 clubs with me across the fairway in my rangefinder.
Yeah, I guess. It's cart path only. Yeah, you're like, here's a ballpark idea. I'm gonna go hit it.
Yeah. So so there's kind of 3 spots on the course. If you ever look at a course, the overhead layout of the course, 3 was kind of the one hole that I had kind of seen. I don't know if it's quote unquote a signature hole, but it's that par 3. It has an infinity green. It kind of goes right off a cliff behind you. And then, there's the cliffs behind it and the ocean off to the right. So that's really cool. And then 4 goes all straight along runs parallel to the ocean with the cliffs off to the left and things like that. And I'll post plenty of these pictures, but it's kind of cool to have those views. Like I said, the fog didn't really burn off until we made the turn. And we had about half an hour of sunny weather, and then the clouds rolled back in. So
yeah,
it was kind of a cloudy day, which didn't make for a ton of picturesque picture. I mean, we still got plenty of good pictures, but you kind of can't see the ocean in some of them and things like that. So, but I 3 and 4 run right along the ocean. Then you get to the back, and 12 and 13. 12 is a long, what is it? It's a long par 4, I believe. Only 458 yards. Only 458 yards. But that runs right out to the cliffs, and then the tee box on 13 is right there. So then you're coming back, teeing off along the cliffs. And then I'm going to post this picture at some point, but probably the coolest view on the golf course was, I think, 17 tee box. So 16 is another par 3. only 204 yards on that par three.
Yeah,
Um,
just a little flip wedge or something
little
like
flip
that.
4 iron.
Yeah. Right.
Um, but 16 is a par four going back towards the ocean, and 17 tee box again is right there, running right along the cliffs. But 17 tee box, we walked up there, and one of the guys we were playing with, the guy that was walking got up there before we did, and he's like, holy cow, he's like, bring your cameras, boys, this view is unbelievable. And it's a view looking across the canyon, but you have the ocean off to your left, and you're looking across the canyon back at 3 green. So it's a
Okay.
pretty cool view going back across there, but that's probably one of the better photo spots. Probably where your boy John Rahm proposed to his wife, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever that worked
Yeah.
out.
I was
But
gonna say it's a bummer that you had such a foggy day, because if it was sunny, you would be able to tell why John Rahm loves that place so much.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, there's a few holes that kind of run inland a little bit that you don't have necessarily views, but kind of those three sections of the course, you kind of really, you're right up against the cliffs. You can see the ocean and things like that. Now, the one thing I guess I realized watching on TV, but you see I don't even know what they are, all those paraglide, all those parachute
Yeah.
guys back there.
Hmm.
That
Over the ocean and
the
stuff.
launching point to that is literally next door to like 17 or I'm sorry, 12 green, 13 T. Like I think they call it like the glider port or something like that, the La Jolla glider port. It's literally right next to. So
Wow.
I think I posted a photo yesterday. You can see like 7 of them in the background.
Yeah.
They're literally right there. So I mean,
They just take
Saturday
off from there.
morning, that's what people in La Jolla do, is they jump off a cliff with a parachute on and they soar around.
Perfect.
So, uh,
Not a chance. I'll stick
yeah,
to being on the ground.
we were putting on 12, and I was like, would I talked to the three guys? I was like, would you ever do that? I was like, for one, how do you like, you literally just have to jump off a cliff, don't you? And they're like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
like
and
there's no, like, the end result is going to be you just like fall out of the sky. Like you're
well,
just going to crash. Like
and
that's just inevitable.
one of them brought up the point. They're like, what if your parachute gets tangled? You just tumble down the cliff? Like what?
Right. Yeah. You
So,
catch a gust of wind wrong and it's just like, well, I just fell. Like gravity is undefeated. Like you're not going to be like, if so
and
just,
I guess I did watch the foreplay video the guys did out there before the US Open, and I think
mhm.
Frankie did the whole glider thing. So I guess I should have realized that, but I just didn't realize that it's literally right next door. So
Yeah.
that's why you see them all, and it makes for cool photos with those guys in the background. You can see it during the tournaments and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
it's right there. I mean, they're right there. Um so yeah, those were kind of the three best photo spots on the course. If you're ever going out there, those three sections of the course kind of make for great opportunities.
Mhm.
You text me and asked about the greens.
Yeah.
They were rolling pretty quick. They weren't. I'm assuming they're going to soup them up a little bit more for the tournament. They were
Yeah.
probably quicker than some of the country club courses we would play around here, but they
Hmm.
weren't. It wasn't like it was unplayable.
Yeah.
I just
Were
can't
they
putt.
pretty smooth?
Yeah, they were smooth. I mean, for as much play as they get out there, they were
Because you had an early tea time, right? You said nine.
yeah, we're 9:30 out there.
9:30. Yeah.
So
So, because I mean, you hear on the telecast all the time how they talk about the Poan grows and it's going to get bumpy in the
yeah,
afternoon. So I didn't know if it was like, no, it was actually pretty smooth, pretty true, or as opposed if you had a, you know, 12 o'clock tea time or whatever, like 2 o'clock tea time, if it was like a noticeable,
yeah,
you know,
I don't know.
bumpiness.
I don't know. We finished the round. What did we finish? Probably closer to 2 o'clock. So it
Okay.
wasn't quite later in the day. So I didn't notice it. Any difference from when we
Yeah.
started to when we finished, but I don't know
Yeah.
enough about the way grass grows, and I'm not a good enough putter to
Right.
to figure all that out. It's funny you mentioned that now, because I do remember listening to an interview with Kisner and talking about how he won't unless the U.S. Open's out there, he hates Poana
He hates
greens.
it. Yeah.
He's like, he can't
Yeah.
putt on it. So why would I go out there
Yeah.
and mess around with that bumpiness? But I didn't pick up on any of that. Maybe I just didn't hit good enough putts, but I should say this. I think I made one putt. I made a birdie on 2, and that was the only putt I made all day. So, of any significance anyway.
I'd have been tempted to walk off. Like, all right, I'm out of here. I just made birdie.
It's funny because I made double on 1, and then I birdied 2, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Let's get a little something going, and then it just didn't happen. I ended up shooting 86 on the day, which from 7,000 yards, I'll take that. I mean, again, I wasn't out there trying to
coming from the Midwest where you haven't played a bunch. I mean, that's
yeah. Shot 43. It's consistent, if nothing else. So.
Did you? We kind of made our way through the course a little bit. I'm sure there's more you want to get to, but we kind of made our way up to 16, 17. Did you try the Tiger putt on 18?
So we were kind of joking about that on 18. We not joking about it, but we were all in the fairway talking about that. We're like, we got to try Tiger's putt. We got to try John Rahm's putt, on 18. I didn't. So funny story, that's kind of how I was going to end the course portion of what I was going to talk about. So 18, there is exactly.
We got to talk more before these podcasts, so I don't just completely take this.
It was a perfect segue to kind of how I finished my round. So there is exactly one water hazard on the course, and it is a small pond in front of 18 green. And again, unless you somehow manage to hit it in the Pacific Ocean. But there's exactly one water hazard on the course, and I wiped a 4-iron into the middle of the said one freaking water hazard on the course. I'm like, how do I manage? I mean, of course I managed to hit it. Anyway,
right.
So I hit a 4-iron into water hazard. I'm kind of pissed at myself. I was like, not really how I wanted and the round and whatever.
Right.
But you're going back up and you're thinking about, man, Tiger Woods, sitting there fist pumping like this after making a putt, and Rahm. And I watched the video, and the pin, being Sunday U.S. Open, they had the pin in about the same spot. It was in the front right portion of the green, and the pin we had was in a back right ish portion of the green. So I walk up, I took a drop, and we were talking about, you should try and, hit it up there so you can try and recreate the putt or whatever. Well, I took a drop, I took my 60-degree wedge out, and I legitimately almost dunked it. I literally hit it to about 1.5 inches. It just stopped. It hit right next to the cup and just stopped. It was probably my best shot of the day. So I had like a tap in. After I hit it in the water, I had a tap in for par on 18, which I'll take all day.
I was going to say that's pretty good. That's a good way to end the day right there.
After hitting it in the water, I'll take that all day. But I say that to say, no, I didn't recreate that putt, because I was thinking about it. We were kind of joking about, let's hit the putt and all that stuff, but we kind of stopped for some pictures, like, with the flag and the pin in the background. Like I got a picture with Kels, and we took a picture as a group and that kind of stuff. And then there were guys in the fairway, so we didn't want to hold them up any longer. That
was going to be the other thing, was probably that idea wouldn't be the first. You guys wouldn't be the first group that thought that idea. So I'm sure there was going to be people wanting to come up there and try that putt too.
No, definitely not. But it was something that had been discussed. But again, there were two guys riding together. They were brothers, so they wanted to get a picture, with the pin and all that kind of stuff. So we took a couple pictures as quick as we could without holding them up too much. But it had been discussed recreating those putts, but we didn't do it just because we wanted to try and be mindful of the folks behind us.
Do you know? And you might not. Just what were the tee time intervals? Like, were they firing off every 8 minutes, every 9 minutes, every 10 minutes?
What? That's a good question. I don't remember.
I
wonder if I can find it on the website real quick. But again, another Muni course vibe moment. They literally just had a speaker. They're like, Mercer, you're on in 10. That's Mercer, awesome. Step to the tee box, please. That kind of thing. So
and it's just so funny because you're probably thinking like, man, Torrey Pines, heck yeah, Torrey Pines South, can't wait. And it's just like, hey, there's no scorecard on my cart. Yeah, just grab it from the stack over there. It's like, oh,
Hey,
okay.
grab it from the cart barn. They literally
Yeah.
you go up to the cart barn, you walk down the stairs from the pro shop. Cart barn is right below them on the lower level, and there's a little stand. The cart boys or whatever were standing there, and they had a stack of scorecards for the north course, stack for the south course, right there. And here we go. All right. So,
That's fantastic.
but I don't know the intervals. I don't remember what they were, but
I would assume they would crank them out at like 8, 9 minutes, like probably I'd say 8 minutes. But I just didn't know if pace of play was, 5.5 hours or whatever, what it could be.
I'm pulling up the website to see if I can see here. And it doesn't look like, well, they don't have any tee times available. So
Yeah. There lies the problem.
I'm in like March right now. Well, they won't let you book out for March. They have, okay. So February 28th, they have 8:48 and 8:57. So what is that? 9 minutes.
9 minutes. Okay. Yeah, that's about normal then. Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
now that I'm on the website, I didn't look at this before, but playing the North course would be as a non-resident $134. So a little bit more affordable.
yeah.
Obviously, you're not playing the course that the U.S. Open was on, but I'm sure
You're not. Yeah.
it's
You're
still
not playing John Rahm's favorite course ever created. And just a beautiful piece of property, and just loves that place so much.
not even any sarcasm in your voice there.
Right.
I know how big of a John Rahm fan
Right.
you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. That was kind of the course. It was,
That's
pretty unbelievable experience. It's I know I've heard some not hate, but there's some people that think that Torrey's a little bit overrated and things like that. I think the no laying up guys have kind of expressed that vibe at times, but
they're not. Yeah, they don't think they're wild about it. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm from Ohio and have never really played a course like that before in my life, but it was an awesome experience and I would do it again, and I would definitely go back and and play it again and again and again. So
yeah, I say it holds a tour event for a reason. It's hold U.S. Opens for a reason. And any time you play a new course, to you, it's going to usually be like pretty memorable. I mean, you think about any course that has any type of history to it, and you get a chance to finally put the tee in the ground on one, you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, so yeah, I mean, for those San Diego residents, they may not think so, but for you coming from Central Ohio, it's like, yeah, this is pretty sweet. You could probably play it a few times. So
exactly. I mean, it's so different from any type of golf that we have here in Ohio. It's just, for the most part, every course here in Ohio is going to be tree lined and, moderate rough and that kind of thing. It's like, no, they grow the rough up out there. There's not many trees to get you in trouble, but there's different ways
to penalize you.
Exactly. So, it was an unbelievable experience. And we were out there for 2.5 days, 3 days, I guess. And took the clubs out to play one round of golf, but it was worth it. So
that's worth it. Yeah, absolutely. That was awesome. I was extremely jealous and looking at pictures that you were posting. I'm like, oh man, that's
the only other note that I had in here was did a little bit of damage in the pro shop afterwards. So
I meant to bring that up too. Yeah, I would have done some work. So yeah, I'm sure you did.
It was funny because the one guy that I played with, he was from Mississippi, and I don't know why I said he's from Mississippi because he had a strong Southern accent. But we walked out of the. I went to use the restroom and came back in and walked into the clubhouse, and everybody I was playing with was in there buying gear and all that kind of stuff. And they had, like I said, they had a really nice pro shop. They had all kinds of gear. Again, compared to Harbortown that I played earlier this year, a lot more options of gear and things like that. Harbortown had I wouldn't say it was a small pro shop, but I would say Torrey probably had double the amount of options and gear and all that kind of stuff. They did have a ton of US Open merch still there, which was
Was
kind
that
of
on the
cool. But
clearance rack, or was that still marked up?
they
Full,
had
full
they had
price?
some stuff on sale, but there was still like the polos and some of the nicer stuff was still
Yeah.
full price. But I told
Still
Kelsey, I was
full
like,
boat.
I can't get US Open gear because I wasn't here for the US Open. But
Yep.
so yeah, I mean, I'm wearing a hat now. If this video ever makes it onto YouTube or anything like that, had to get the hat. I'm big
Absolutely.
on buying a hat everywhere I go. Yardage book. I got as Carb said, a very contentious hoodie. I got a Johnny O Torrey Pines logoed hoodie that will be
You'll be
taken onto the
surprised, but I
golf
love
course.
it.
Onto the golf course at some point. I got a ball mark. I always try and get a ball mark from everywhere I go, all the new courses that I play, and got a cover for the yardage sticks. So
Nice.
those things aren't flopping around in my bag and all kinds of stuff.
Around,
So yeah, we did some damage in the pro shop a little bit. Had to. It was it can turn into an expensive day very quickly out there, but it's
but it's also one of those things that you're not going to do every single weekend, every single year, every single even 5 years. So it's like
exactly. So
can't take it with you.
And again, my wife's the same. She said the same thing. I was looking at all this stuff. I was like, I don't know what I should buy. She's like, just get it. This is gonna maybe be the one time you're out here, so just get it.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It all worked out.
That's what I say every single Thursday night during league out at Derby. I go, I mean, who knows when I'll be out here again? I might as well get the 6-pack of summer shandy because I don't know when I'll be back out here again. The next Thursday rolls around.
You gotta relive the memories while you can, man. So
right, yeah, you just never know.
No, but it was it's cool to get on here and talk about it while it's still fresh in my memory. I'm going through the score. I did steal a couple scorecards and a couple pencils and all that kind of stuff. I keep all that stuff too, but
yeah,
it was again. I can't say it enough, and I shouldn't be surprised by this because I knew it was a public municipal course, but it was such a crazy difference in you walking up and getting ready for your round to you're walking into a municipal course and then you're going to play an absolute world-class US Open golf course. It's like I just warmed up on a driving range off of mats with 20 spots while 10 guys waited in line to get a spot. And
there was just a wear mark on the path for people, like hundreds 100%. Of people have been banging balls.
100%. And then they're over there setting up stands and getting the course ready for a PGA Tour event next month. It's like what is happening? So I told Kelsey, I was like, the only thing I can really think that would even compare to that would be like Beth Page and the black course out there. But I know there's other quote unquote public courses, but not Muni style run by the city and that kind of thing. So
that would be similar, but I don't know how the facilities are out there. Obviously I've never out there, but I would assume similar type thing where you kind of build this up in your mind, and then when you go out there, it's like, nope. Here's your bucket of balls, pump in this number, and it spits out a few.
Yeah,
and go slap them.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying any of that to knock it because I truly appreciate it. It was such a hilarious and awesome experience. You're like, you just think about these places and you're like, well, shit, Tiger Woods is here. It's got to be this most amazing facility. And all it's not the vibe that it is out there, which is awesome.
Tiger's having problems with the range ball vending machine. He's like, hey, the code isn't working. I'm hitting this number and it's not working.
If I were a betting man, I don't think that they would use the range ball machine
they probably
for the tour events.
I think can I get not use this mat? Sorry, Mr. Woods.
I need to go back and rewatch it, but I did find a USGA video before I went out there about how they were getting ready for the US Open, and they did build an entirely. I think they took one of the holes on the north course and turned it into the driving range, but I would need to go back and see where it was. I can't remember what holes, but they moved a ton of dirt and they basically wiped out one of the holes in the north course to build an entirely new practice facility just for the US Open, which is insane to think about.
Impressive.
So anyway, that's
impressive.
I
Good for
feel
you.
like I
Glad you
just
got to go out there.
yeah, thanks. I feel like I just rambled on for about an hour in no sequential order, but
Yeah, no.
that's it,
People
man.
people are on the edge of their seats. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, man. Well, I mean, that's I somebody while we were playing asked if I, has anybody else played any, tour courses or anything like that, and I probably sounded like a real asshole when I said this, but I was like, no, I don't. I haven't played a lot of PGA Tour courses, but I did. The first round of my year was at Harbor Town, and my last round of the year, what I'm assuming my last round is going to be at Torrey Pines. So, and I thought about it, I was like, man, that kind of sounded like a real
Those
jackass when I
brothers who was
said
having a
that.
beer,
But
like, what about that asshole that we got paired with that
what
played
about that?
Harbor Town and then Torrey? It's
Yeah,
like,
what about that jackass? But yeah, so this year was kind of a crazy one, but
you didn't name drop Scioto? He was like, to warm up, I
well,
just played 9 at
I,
Scioto.
I
You
just
guys
went out
ever heard of it, Jack's Place?
for a quick 9, no,
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Right.
Simulator, but yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
Gosh.
yeah, we've already been talking about it, but I think we're gonna have to get a Pinehurst, North Carolina trip in the works here at some point, and
Yeah,
go cross that one off the list too. So
I would agree. Yeah. And then I heard on the Foreplay podcast that Riggs bought a house down there. Have you heard this one today?
No, I didn't listen today. Oh my god.
So today is the 7th when we are talking. And so they posted theirs, and Riggs bought a house apparently in Pinehurst. And
good for him.
He's going to, on the weeks that he's not occupying it, rent it out to people because so many people supported him that he wants to make sure people can experience the Pinehurst experience like he did.
Thank you for being so gracious, Riggs, and letting people rent your house.
Yeah, letting people pay you for a profit to rent the house.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. That's going to be high on the list for 2022, I think.
We gotta get together and get the 4 of us together and our better halves and figure out the logistics on that and get that taken care of.
Yeah. No, funny enough, like I said, one of the guys I played with was from Raleigh, and so I was talking to him a little bit about that. I was like, "You guys play? Is it year round down there? Is that how cold does it get?" And he's like, "Oh no, we're year round." He's like, "It may be chilly, but we're playing." And I was like, "Dude, so what do you do down there? I mean, how do you choose where you're playing?" He's like, we're spoiled with the amount of unbelievable golf we have in North Carolina. It's crazy. So
I would agree with that.
Gonna have to make that happen. Yeah, exactly. So well, yeah, that's probably enough of me rambling on. It was fun to get out there. It was a long trip. I forgot how far away San Diego is from Columbus, Ohio. It's a long way. So
a little bit of a hike.
Yeah. We flew on the way out there, we flew from here to Vegas to San Diego. And I text my dad and he was like, I was like, I'm in Vegas right now. He's like, don't stay too long. He's like, you'll lose all your money. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. Kudos for you for getting on the connecting flight from Vegas to San Diego.
Right.
Like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just stay here?
I had been talked about. The idea had been brought up, but we ended up getting on that flight to San Diego, so it was worth it. But cool. Well, let's it's probably a good place to wrap up. We're gonna work on getting some guests for next week. We've talked to a couple people that want to hop on, so we'll we'll announce those as we see fit, I should say. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
We gotta
keep everybody on the edge of their seat.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll get somebody else on here to talk instead of listening to 2 of us ramble on. So should be fun
as it is. But yeah, we'll get some other people and we can listen to other people chat and discuss golf.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll wrap up here. As always, give us a follow on Instagram. I don't think we've even said this on the podcast, but the podcast has its own Instagram now. So follow us. What is it? Player B Podcast on Instagram.
Yes,
I,
that is exactly it. We're doing a great job of promoting it.
I was going to
Yes,
say,
that's
you
exactly
would think
what it
we would know
is.
this because I set the freaking Instagram up, but yes, at Player B Podcast on Instagram. Give us a follow there. We'll definitely be
Yeah.
updating, anytime a new episode comes out and things like that. But obviously, continue to follow us, Club Tour Ohio and Punch Out Golf, and I'll be posting plenty of photos. You'll probably get sick of them, but I got to share them
I
somehow,
doubt it.
some
I
way.
mean,
So
as the white stuff starts to fall here in Ohio, I'm sure we'll look at those pictures and love it. So post them as much as you can.
there we go. So, all right, we'll chat again next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds like a plan. Adios.
See ya.